Israel has carried out strikes on Iran's nuclear program. The strikes were part of Operation Rising Lion.
Now, multiple sources tell CBS News that President Trump is considering joining Israel's effort to strike Iranian nuclear facilities.
The biggest non-nuclear bomb in the U.S. military's arsenal, and the only thing that can destroy Iran's underground enrichment plant at Fordo, the GBU-57AB massive ordnance penetrator, is known as the Bunker Buster.
Iran is worrying about the US because America has something that could seriously hurt Iran, namely the most advanced bunker buster bombs. These bombs can destroy bases that Iran hides deep in the earth with concrete walls. And if these bases are gone, it cripples the regime's power, and it might even lead to the fall of the regime itself. For this reason, Israel is desperately hoping that the US will join the war to attack Iran. So let's take a look at the situation. First of all, we should understand the targets in Iran that Israel is struggling to take down by itself. Nuclear sites are some of the most important targets in Operation Rising Lion, because Israel wants to prevent Iran from making a nuclear bomb. The most difficult to hit target is the Fordow fuel enrichment plant. It's built into a mountain south of Tehran and northeast of the religious city of Qom. On satellite imagery, you can see the mountain being surrounded by a security perimeter, with tunnel entrances leading into the enrichment halls under the mountain. There are a total of 5 entrances, along with many concealed ventilation shafts. The enrichment facility itself has 16 levels, and it contains approximately 3,000 centrifuges to enrich uranium. A few years back, the International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, found near-bomb-grade uranium at Fordow, meaning uranium enriched close to 90%. The problem is that it's hidden away below the mountain, up to 300 feet underground. On top of that, the facility has reinforced concrete protection. Israel has attacked the facility, but no extensive damage has been reported underground. According to the IAEA, which keeps an eye on the site, it's still operational. That's a huge issue, because Iran is definitely trying to develop a nuke now since they've been attacked. And if they keep enriching uranium at Fordow, it allows them to get to weapons-grade levels of enrichment within days. A similar target to Fordow is the Natanz nuclear facility. It was Iran's first major enrichment facility with roughly 15,000 centrifuges. These centrifuges were housed about 25 to 40 feet below the ground, protected by a thick layer of reinforced concrete. Contrary to Fordow, this facility has been heavily damaged by Israel, as shown by this satellite footage. The power supply has been taken out, along with most of the supporting buildings and the pilot fuel enrichment plant, significantly setting Iran back. Despite no direct Israeli hit actually penetrating the underground bunker, the centrifuges have also been destroyed. The IAEA said that our assessment is that with this sudden loss of external power, in great probability the centrifuges have been severely damaged, if not destroyed altogether. So Israel only needs America's help with Fordow. Because if both Fordow and Natanz are destroyed, Iran's nuclear program is completely gone for the moment. They would need to build new enrichment halls, which would cost billions of dollars. Other nuclear sites, like Isfahan or Arak, are also important, but less strategic. That's also why Iran didn't put them way below the ground for production. But it's not just Iran's nuclear program that's in the spotlight here. It's also Iran's missile program that's incredibly important. According to US estimates, Iran has about 3,000 ballistic missiles. If Iran were to ever develop nukes, it would use these missiles to deliver them in a nuclear war. But even without nuclear warheads, these missiles could do serious damage to Israel. Iran is currently trying to launch a significant part of its missiles in a saturation attack, with a goal to wear out Israel's air defenses. Iran also uses its vast arsenal of cruise missiles and drones for this purpose. It's firing hundreds, if not thousands of them at Israel to deplete their air defense missiles. And once a few ballistic missiles get through, it would do untold damage to Israel's population centers, military bases, and infrastructure, even with conventional warheads. To prevent this from happening, Israel has been targeting everything from ballistic missile production facilities to storage and launch sites. But many of these missile bases are buried way below the surface, so Israel needs bunker busters to destroy them. The facility near Khorramabad in the west of Iran is an example of this. The Imam Ali Missile Base, also called a missile city, is located just 1,265 kilometers from Tel Aviv, and satellite footage shows just how advanced it is. The complex starts with an entry control post. To the southwest, there's an area for missile fuel and oxidizer tanks. And nearby, there are 2 tunnels leading into a mountain. In this mountain, Iran has set up 2 launch silos for ballistic missiles, and we can see the launch doors right here on the surface. A few hundred meters from the launch site, we can see the base headquarters where the IRGC commanders are stationed. Further down the road, we can see 3 other tunnel entrances, probably leading to a storage area. On the other side of the valley, there's another tunnel entrance. And a few hundred meters from there, Iran has built 5 smaller storage bunkers. Now, if we zoom out and look at the valley closer to Khorramabad, we can see lots of military activity. It's the massive Imam Ali weapons storage facility, with dozens upon dozens of bunkers to store missiles, components, and warheads. It's one of the largest storage bases in the country, and beneath this whole mountain range is something even more strategic. Iran has built a whole underground tunnel network here called the Missile City. It houses thousands of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones. Just a few months ago, Iran released a propaganda video with 2 military commanders inspecting the tunnel network. But both of these commanders are dead now, as they were targeted in the first wave of attacks. And according to Israel, the Missile City itself has also been hit. However, it's still unclear how much of it is actually destroyed, especially the parts that are stored deep beneath the mountains. It's clear that Iran's still able to fire a lot of missiles, because Iran continues to strike Israel. Multiple Iranian missiles have actively hit Israeli targets. Scattered all over Iran, there are many more underground facilities like the Missile City. In the mountainous Kermanshah province in the west, Iran has another huge tunnel system with various missile bases. These bases have also been hit by Israel, but the site is also not fully down yet. So over the coming days, there will be a race between the 2 sides. If Israel takes out most of Iran's launch facilities, Israel has the advantage. But if Iran manages to wear out Israel's air defenses before that happens, it will get ahead. Now, we've talked about nuclear sites and missile bases, but we should also talk about the Iranian leaders and military command. Israel's objective in this war could be regime change in Iran. Prime Minister Netanyahu was saying that he's not ruling out assassinating the supreme leader Ali Khamenei, because it would end the conflict. But unsurprisingly, many Iranian leaders and IRG commanders have moved to command and control bunkers hidden beneath the mountains. The locations of these bunkers are not known to the public for obvious reasons. But Trump recently said he knows where the supreme leader was hiding, and even when he's hiding in a bunker somewhere, he might not be safe, because as we'll cover later, the US has way more advanced capabilities than Israel does. But first, let's look at Israel's capabilities. Because all of these sites have one thing in common: you need bunker buster bombs to destroy them. These missiles can penetrate the ground or reinforced concrete, and because they have a delayed fuse detonator system, they only explode when they reach their targets. Israel has a couple of different bunker buster bombs, and most of them are actually supplied by the US. This includes the JBU-39B, the JBU-31, and the JBU-28. The last one is by far the most capable Israel owns. It's a laser-guided weapon weighing 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. And during testing, it could breach 160 feet of earth and 16 feet of solid concrete. Israel has used this bomb for years in Gaza, along with the less advanced versions. But some of the Iranian bunkers are way deeper below the earth than the JBU-28 could ever reach. Also, Iran has been constantly looking for new ways to make reinforced concrete that make these missiles less effective. It's part of the decades-long struggle between bunkers and bunker busters. The one side tries to make material stronger, while the other side tries to make the missiles more lethal. With this goal in mind, Israel has also been working on some of its own bunker busters. This includes the Rampage and the Delilah cruise missile. But to be honest, Israel's not there yet. These homegrown bunker busters can only breach lightly reinforced bunkers, which is useful but not enough. The real monsters of the bunker-busting world are American-made, and some of these missiles are so advanced that America doesn't even sell them to anyone, including Israel. Meet the GBU-57 MOP, or the Massive Ordnance Penetrator. This missile is huge, weighing around 30,000 pounds. This gives the bomb a massive amount of kinetic energy on impact, allowing it to punch through rock, soil, and concrete. The only operational aircraft that can launch a MOP is the B-2 Spirit bomber, and it had to be specifically modified in order to be able to carry it. The bomb can hit targets 200 feet beneath the ground. For comparison, that's a 20-story building. When faced with a bunker, it can break through about 60 feet of reinforced concrete. And these are the published figures. It's entirely possible that the newer versions can do much more damage. Without a doubt, the MOP is America's best bunker buster, and by far the best one in the world. Russia's best bunker busters can only penetrate through 10 feet of concrete. And China, they're not doing much better. But going back to Iran, the question is this: can a US strike destroy Iran's most important facilities or not? There's a lot of speculation. The delivery itself will likely be no problem. Seeing how Israel's fighter jets can operate freely in Iranian airspace, The B-2 bomber, with some of the best stealth capabilities in the world, will meet no resistance. And a few months back, the US stationed a whole squadron of B-2 bombers in Diego Garcia, an island in the Indian Ocean 2,400 miles from the Iranian coastline. It sounds pretty far, but that's easily within the B-2's range. They're gone from Diego Garcia for now, but they can easily be redeployed there to stage an attack. However, the targeting part of the operation will already be much trickier. It's hard to know where the underground bunkers are exactly. Satellite data can only tell us so much, namely where the tunnel's entries and the ventilation shafts are. But it remains guesswork, unless either the CIA or the Mossad has informants inside Iran that are leaking the blueprints. This is not outside the picture, because their sabotage operations in Iran are highly advanced. But we would only know it after the fact. And even if the targeting succeeds and the US hits the right area, it's still a question of how deep below the earth these facilities are buried, and how much reinforced concrete they have. Because when Iran built their bunkers, they obviously took into account for how lethal the MOP is and tried to defend themselves against it. Still, many reports suggest that the MOP bombs stand a chance, even against Iran's most heavily fortified bunker at Fordow. Granted, the site could be up to 300 feet below the ground, and there could be more layers upon layers of concrete protection. But we should mention that the MOP was specifically designed and later modified with the Iranian Fordow facility in mind. The exact details of how strong the MOP really is are classified. Also, it's not necessary to completely destroy the nuclear facility itself. It's also possible to collapse the tunnel entrances, which would significantly set Iran back and potentially trap personnel inside. Destroying ventilation shafts and power lines would have similar effects. But the most compelling evidence that the current Iranian nuclear sites are vulnerable is that Iran was building another site. The Iranians likely realized that Natanz and Fordow could be destroyed with an American strike. The new site was located south of the original Natanz facility, and it's called Natanz 2. Construction started after 2 Israeli sabotage attacks on the original plant in 2020 and 2021. Satellite footage from 2023 shows new tunnel entrances being dug into a mountain. And in 2025, the project was getting dangerously close to completion, with Iran setting up a security perimeter as one of the last steps. That was a major problem, because this plant was likely outside of the reach of the American bunker busters. At an estimated depth of 260 feet up to 330 feet beneath solid rock, along with multiple layers of reinforced concrete, not even the MOP bomb could have breached it. Natanz 2 might have been the reason why Israel attacked now. Because a US intervention might stop Iran's nuclear program today, but in a few months from now, Iran could make weapons-grade uranium in Natanz 2, and no one could stop them. Still, the big question is if the US will actually intervene. Up to this point, Israel has only asked the US for help with defense. And back home, President Trump promised no new wars when he got elected. But a bunker buster strike might not count as a full-scale war like the Iraq and Afghanistan wars that Trump opposed. When the goal is to knock out Iran's nuclear program, it's very different from a regime change war. Also, there's a lot at stake here. After Israel's attack, Iran is definitely trying to make a nuclear weapon. And with Fordow still operational, that could actually happen. Israeli officials have already said that without the elimination of Fordow, the Operation Rising Lion would be a massive failure. Now, you could also say that Israel shouldn't have started this if it couldn't finish the job alone. That's why Israel, at least publicly, claims to have other means to deal with Fordow, which could include a sabotage attack or a cyber attack. But as of now, we haven't seen anything. So it seems like they do need US bunker busters. And that would be very confusing, because at first, the US seemed to be very opposed to Israel's actions. It doesn't make sense for Israel to attack Iran without US backing, even though they need US support to make their mission successful. But it might be a smart move on Netanyahu's side. The attack puts Trump in an awkward position, because he can't let Iran develop a nuke. Even though he doesn't want to intervene, Israel has escalated the situation so much that he might be forced to. And it's having an effect, because Trump is shifting his rhetoric and calling for the unconditional surrender of Iran. But there are some other theories. Rumors are that Trump knew about the attack all along, and that he gave Israel the green light because of failing nuclear talks with Iran. Allegedly, he only made it seem like he was opposed in public because he wanted Iran to feel safe and not to make any preparations. It would mean that the US already planned to attack Fordow if Iran didn't surrender, and that would be in line with Trump's peace through strength policy. However, even when Trump decides to attack, the consequences of America attacking Iran would be severe. The Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has warned that a US strike will have serious, irreparable consequences. Iran could respond by attacking US bases in the Middle East, where 40 to 50,000 American soldiers are stationed. Its proxy network, including Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Iraqi militias, would join the fight. And if the situation gets really out of hand, the Iranians could do something much more damaging. They could try to block the Strait of Hormuz, stopping the Gulf nations from exporting oil. This would cause global oil prices to go through the roof and lead to a global economic crisis. Meanwhile, Iran could also instruct the Houthis in Yemen to expand their attacks on the Bab el-Mandab Strait, cutting off other vital trade routes as well. And what the Middle East really fears is that Iran starts attacking oil facilities in the Gulf to cause further disruptions. In other words, a US intervention is a risky operation, and it's not the preferred option. But it might happen if Iran continues to build nuclear weapons. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to keep updated on news like this.